Welcome, folks. We'll be getting started in just a minute. Glad to have you tonight, and welcome to Cafe Bitcoin. It's another beautiful day in the world of Bitcoin. We're all excited to learn, excited to teach, excited to share, excited for number go up, excited for a lot of things. So welcome tonight. If you're new to Cafe Bitcoin, please click on Cafe Bitcoin at the top left. Join the club. You'll get notified of all the fun events that we're doing. We've got Bitcoin in all tons of different languages. We've got the Lightning Lab, usually on Wednesdays. We've got Bitcoin in Spanish. We've got all sorts of events. We do this Bitcoin for Beginners twice a week, Mondays and Wednesdays. Let me ping our co-host for tonight. And please note that this is a streaming event, so you can go back and catch the stream on YouTube as well. If you've asked a question and you want to, go back and listen to the answer, you don't have to write notes down or anything like that. Dennis, welcome. How are you doing tonight?
What's up, man? Super eventful day. It's been crazy today. We're having lots of fun.
Oh yeah, it's been a wild one.
I was going to say Eric Weiss is over in the other room just now, not for long, but he wanted to let us all know that Michael Saylor is officially on Clubhouse now. I
saw, and he's got laser eyes. Maybe we'll explain the whole laser eyes phenomenon tonight, in case anyone's wondering why us crazy Bitcoiners have laser eyes. Let me ping the other folks and see if we can get them in here. There's sessions. So we will be joined by some really awesome folks tonight. We've got BTC Sessions, who's joining us. He's a prolific Bitcoin YouTuber and educator, all-around great guy from the frozen north up in Canada. We've got Dennis, who he'll introduce himself. We've also got Brandon Quittem, who's one of my coworkers over at Swan Bitcoin, who's a Bitcoin educator himself, prolific writer, really brilliant guy. So very excited about tonight. Oh wait, we have someone else, don't we? No, that's it. We'll see who else pops in tonight.
Yo, what's up, Sessions?
Yo, hey guys, how's it going?
It is
having a blast.
It's going
How's your
well
day been so far.
Awesome. I'm stoked for this. I got myself an old fashioned here. I'm like chilling in my room, and it's a nice little setup. I'm excited for the evening.
So for those of you who are just joining us, or this is your first time at Beginner Bitcoin Q&A, I'll explain how we like to do things. We keep it kind of tight up on the stage. We usually have a rotating squad of moderators who have been Bitcoin educators or Bitcoin fanatics for a long time and usually know their stuff. We ask everyone to raise their hands, and we'll bring people up one at a time. And what we've been doing, which is kind of fun, is we ask everyone to be prepared to tell us one interesting fact about yourself. It doesn't have to be true. Just entertain us. It's a Monday night. We've had a long work day, and we want to laugh a little bit. So tell us something fun, and then you'll ask us a Bitcoin question, and hopefully we will get your questions answered. So it looks like Brandon is he's going to be about 5 minutes late, so we will get started without him. But before we do, if I can ask everyone in the audience, do us a quick favor, hit that plus sign at the bottom right, and invite anybody to the room who you think might have some questions or might benefit from hearing these questions get answered. Anyone who's new to Bitcoin, or anyone who's old to Bitcoin, or that old friend of yours who hates Bitcoin, but it'll annoy them just to get pinged into this room. Invite them too. All right, gents, shall we get started? Let's jump into it.
Yeah, man.
All right, I'm gonna pick the first person. Let's see who we got. I think Dan San was the first one to raise their hands. I could be wrong. Dan, come on up to the stage. Tell us an interesting fact about yourself, and then let us know your Bitcoin question.
Yeah, what's up? So my interesting fact is I like to play soccer a lot. And also, Brekkie, I just wanted to come up here and thank you for streaming this. Are you streaming it to YouTube?
Yeah, it's streaming to Swan's YouTube channel. We have like a whole Cafe Bitcoin playlist there, so you should be able to find it. Actually, if anyone in the audience is actually, hold on, I just want to make sure that the audio is working. I have a new audio setup. So, Mr. Sessions and Mr. Dennis, would you mind fielding the first question while I just check on the stream?
Definitely, yeah. You guys, if you're looking for the link to that YouTube channel too to share with your friends, I've got it in my link tree for my Twitter and my Instagram. So feel free to go over there, and you should be able to find it pretty easily. Dan,
and I'm gonna hop to the audience. I got no question. Thank you.
Dan is a avid listener and contributor and a very brilliant guy. So I will probably be hopping on to the next person from here. Dan, thanks for coming up. Brekkie's going to have to do the business though, because neither me or Sessions are moderators at this point.
That's a problem. Hold on, let me fix that. Let's spread the love. I can't be the
There
only
we go.
moderator up here. All right.
All right.
Folks.
If you have questions, we are hopefully trying to do some beginner questions today. Please feel free to raise your hand. There are no bad questions. We got wallet questions. We got how to buy questions, what kind of exchange to use. Make sure to get into the queue now because sometimes it does fill up. Go ahead and raise your hand. It's on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, and then one of us will bring you up on stage one at a time to answer those questions.
Somebody, please, for the love of Satoshi, ask Sessions about the frosting of his tips. I want to know the backstory of that.
I was just born that way, man. Maybe it's natural. Maybe it's Bitcoin.
What's up, James?
What's up, James?
Hey, I appreciate it very much. I've been doing this Bitcoin thing for a little while, but just curious, do you all have a recommendation? And if you're affiliated with an exchange, I mean, just say so. But is Coinbase really the best exchange for beginners, or is there other ones that might be better?
I'm not a Coinbase fan. And a lot of it is, part of it is ideological. I did make a video, I think about 1.5 years ago now. There was a kind of like an uprising where a lot of people were using the hashtag delete Coinbase. So I made a video about why that was. So feel free to go back and check out that particular video. But outside of that, it's relatively simple to use. I dislike it partly because you're instantly introduced into a world of gambling. Like the first thing you see is like, great, you're into Bitcoin, check out all of these other coins as if they were equally valid. And I think that's problematic, and it puts people into a mindset of, hey, I have the soundest money known to man. Let's roll the dice on a whole bunch of other things instead. So I tend to lean towards Bitcoin only options, or ones that are very, very limited in scope in terms of not putting you in front of a ton of different coins. Of course, so I'm from Canada, but I really like what the guys at Swan are doing. And this isn't just because Brekkie is associated with Swan. I just ideologically really line up with the way that they do it. And I believe that they're like the lowest fees in the US, and they allow you to dollar cost average in. So that kind of takes the emotion out of it. I also, Cash App is another option in the US. There's River Financial. So there's a few different options out there. As far as Canada goes here, ShakePay is pretty solid, even though they've got Ethereum on there. It's still really simple to send in money and buy. And I also really like Bull Bitcoin. They're a Bitcoin only option, and I like that they coin join their coins, and they also require you to have your own Bitcoin wallet before you can purchase, which sets people down the road to holding their own coins. So I think that's great. Those are kind of my hot take.
I'd also just like to point out that the delete Coinbase movement is far from over. All right. I use that hashtag. I still use that hashtag. I'll just touch on that real quick. The thing about Coinbase is like they were great in the early days, right? Like that's where I got some of my first Bitcoin. Like shout out to them. Like they really brought really cool UX to the space at a time when there wasn't, they did some great things in the early days, but I personally, ideologically, I see them sort of as like the Facebook of the space. Like they've built tools to help people surveil people using Bitcoin and then the other cryptocurrencies. Like I don't align with them. They don't make dollar cost averaging easy. Their fees are high. So, I'm not going to come out and be like, you must use Swan Bitcoin because I work there. Although I do love Swan Bitcoin, but I am anti Coinbase personally. When
the bar is set at Mount Gox, then it's pretty easy to look good back in the day.
Yeah, I mean it's not, even if they just function the way that they do now, it's more the things that they've done against Bitcoin. Like they have actively worked against the ethos of Bitcoin, in my opinion. I don't want to go down the whole history of Bitcoin right now, but yeah, I would only buy Bitcoin through companies that actively support what Bitcoin is for. Anyway. How's that work, James?
No, it makes sense. And you mentioned Swan. I have a friend that just set up a institutional account with Swan, and he was trying to do it with like a few other exchanges too. And Swan was like the third one that he like applied, and it Swan got back like super responsive. He was like so impressed with it. So kudos to you all then for that.
Oh, rad. Thank you, James. And welcome to Brandon. Brandon, how you doing tonight?
Brekkie, Dennis, Ben, James, what's up, everyone? Oh, lots of friendly
Yes.
faces in the crowd.
Oh yeah, James. Before we move on, did you get your question answered? Any follow-ups? Anything like that?
Oh no, I got it answered. You can move me back down. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, Brandon. Since you were late, you get to pick the next person.
Oh boy, I think I need a cute little green bean to do. Oh, there we go. Raise your hands, y'all. Who wants to come up? All right, looks like Gage is first on my list.
Guys, can you hear me?
We
What's up,
can,
Gage?
Gage. Tell us one interesting fact about yourself, and let us know your Bitcoin question.
I am from New York, but actually moving to Puerto Rico next Monday, so I'm looking forward to the move. That's pretty much what's going on in my world.
Say hi to Peter Schiff for me.
And also,
That's the first thing I do.
there's a food truck called El Churri, and they have the most incredible sandwiches, a medianoche sandwich, and you got to go and you got to get it. I miss those sandwiches. Anyway, moving on. Bitcoin.
What's the name of it?
It's called El Churri. I think CHURRI.
Awesome. Where at? San Juan?
Yeah, somewhere in San Juan. I can't remember where.
Sweet.
I may have been drinking, and someone may have driven us there in a taxi.
Memory's a little foggy.
Yes.
So my question was just about using like a third party like Casa or Electrum in conjunction with a ledger. And I just wanted your thoughts on that, I guess.
Shoot, I wish Hector Rosecrans was just here. Who works at Casa. What are you concerned about specifically with that? Like, you're asking, is that a safe way to store your Bitcoin or that kind of thing?
So I'm not like too technologically inclined when it comes to like all this multi-sig stuff. So right now I have a ledger and I've been storing it on, cold storage that way. But I've heard, people getting concerned about like the mnemonics and, if someone, somehow gets their hands on that, you could lose everything. So I was considering using a third-party multi-sig platform like Casa to just add another layer of protection.
I can comment on this a little bit. So, yeah, I mean, there's trade-offs with everything. The one thing that you want to try and avoid is trying not to overcomplicate things, because the likelihood of getting hacked or somebody like breaking in and stealing your shit versus user error and you losing your coins that way, it's much more likely to be user error statistically. But that being said, so in terms of your backup seed phrase, yeah, that's probably the biggest vulnerability in that type of setup, where if somebody gets their hands on your backup words, it's like a copy of the key to your house. So they just have it and they can unlock whatever it unlocks, in this case, your Bitcoin. So yeah, that's a concern from a lot of people. It depends on your comfort level, how much you're holding. In terms of multisig, I've been diving pretty deep down this multisig rabbit hole lately. I'm just finishing up another video for tomorrow, which will make it 7 that I put together now. I have not tried Casa yet, and their solution, but I have tried Unchained Capital, and that does give me some peace of mind. So effectively, if you're using Ledger and you're trying to create a multi-sig, then it depends how you do it. Like, if you're doing it just yourself, you're probably going to have 3 different devices and require at least 2 of them. If you're doing it with somebody like Casa or Unchained, then depending on which one, you'll likely have at least 2 different devices, and then the company holds the 3rd key, which means they can't move the money. They can only just be an approved signer if you really screw up and you lose both devices and both backups. So for me, where I've got a wife and I'm like, if something happens to me, I want her to be able to access this easily, and I want somebody to be able to hold her hand if she royally screws up. Unchained is nice to have a chunk of coins sitting there. But there is a privacy trade-off with that too, because any company that has a third key for your multi-sig will know exactly what you have. So it's a bit of a balancing act, and it's a very personal kind of road that you got to walk there and decide for yourself.
Gotcha. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for that explanation. Really helpful. Thank you.
No worries.
And I would add that Unchained is what I use as well, Gage, and Ben gave a great overview. I do feel safer, just totally anecdotally, feel safer with Unchained rather than a single ledger, which is what I used to use. There is a bit more of a technical hurdle, but if you figured out a ledger, you will figure out Unchained without too much problems. And if you want to be extra double super careful and you do go with Unchained, they have a onboarding service where a human walks you through setup. And if you're new to private key management, I would say it's worth it. I think it nets out to like $300 or something. You pay like $1,500, then they deposit $1,000 in your account, and they give you hardware wallets or something. So just something to consider.
Awesome. And is it? I know with Casa, they have like different tiers. For Unchained, is it just one like straight platform, or is it tiered in terms of the protection level?
So they don't have with Unchained currently, at least the way that I'm using it, if it's a personally held account, then there's no cost for setup for like a 2 of 3 multi-sig. And the only time that you pay a fee is when you require them to sign. So when you go to them and say, hey, I screwed up, I've only got one key, I need you guys to sign this transaction and approve it, then it ends up being, I think, $20 each time you do that. If it's under a company, then I believe it's $150, like if you're like an LLC or something like that. Casa, I think it's different. Again, like you said, they have the tiers. So I'm not sure of their pricing structure.
Gotcha. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it.
No worries. I think Brekkie disappeared.
Brekkie's disappeared. So let's go ahead and have Gage hop off for now. Appreciate you coming up, Gage. Going to move you to the audience. And then it looks like we have Romer and then Martin. Romer, let's go ahead and have pull you up to stage. And we'll do one quick fun fact about yourself, and then whatever question you have for the panelists.
Well, I believe I'm the first European here to ask about European exchanges. So I actually do see that Clubhouse is very US centric for now. So my question would be, how do you see, what are your recommendations from someone being Europe based to choose an exchange to, let's say, conduct himself within Bitcoin?
What country are you in, if you don't mind?
Portugal.
Oh, no capital gains tax there for crypto for Bitcoin.
Yeah. That's one.
You got to see. You got to spare room.
yeah, actually do. But yeah. For now, our central bank tells us is that for now everything's kosher, but that they're eagerly awaiting for the European Central Bank's instructions. But for now, no capital gains tax. Yeah.
I think it looks like you guys, I'm not from Portugal, so I don't have personal experience, but from what I'm looking at, it seems like you guys have availability to use Kraken there. That's a good, decent exchange. Also, if there's not the option of using Swan Bitcoin, which is my preferred, isn't available there, but Coinbase Pro, although we don't like them, and for ideological reasons, they do have a great user interface, and they have fair pricing fee structure. So those are going to be two good options for you.
And any chance you have a UK bank account?
No,
Okay.
not really. And now it's even worse since Brexit.
Sure, that makes sense.
I used to have a Revolut, which had a UK license, but then they changed it for a European one, so it's actually cut off from the UK now.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I would use Kraken if I was you.
If you start diving really deep down the rabbit hole and you're trying to get Bitcoin that's kind of off the grid, you could go the route of looking at BISC, but it does get pretty advanced to use it. So, you know, maybe tinker eventually, but the regular exchanges like were recommended, Kraken and Coinbase, they should do you just fine.
Okay, but for instance, in terms of Swan, would that be in the future somewhere to also have some sort of, let's say, an offshoot here in Europe?
Possible, but I would not hold your breath. It definitely won't be this calendar year. We do have a concierge service we call Swan Private, and so if you want to move minimum of $25,000 wires, we can accommodate those, but that's the only service we offer abroad at this point. And so if that works for you, you can go to swanbitcoin.com/private and you can follow up there. You'll be contacted. Otherwise, I would use Kraken or Coinbase. They'll definitely suit you for anything normal purchase wise.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks, Roman, for coming up. Let me go ahead and drop you down real quick, and then we're going to have the next person come up here. We've got Matt. Oh, it was Martin. I don't know why Matt jumped in front of this. Sometimes these queues, they get out of order. It's very strange. I'm going to go with Martin next, and then I'm going to do Manish. Go ahead, Martin. You're coming up on stage. Fun fact and your Bitcoin question.
Yes, hi. My name is Martin. I am originally from Mexico. Now I live in Detroit, Michigan, and I'm a business owner in an engineering company. And my question is really, I think I'm really beginner in this. I started doing stocks and such in Robinhood last year, and there I started to buy Bitcoin, but I understand that's not like the real Bitcoin that you can use to like buy stuff. So if I want to switch to use Bitcoin as actual currency, what is it that I need to do, and what is your recommendations for someone who is really in starting in this?
Are you in the United States, Martin?
Yes.
Okay. I as far as with Robinhood goes, yeah, they have not allowed withdrawals up until this point, but it looks like they are changing that, and they are going to be allowing people to withdraw their Bitcoin, which is great news. Not sure when that's going to happen, but they have mentioned that they are willing to do that here in the near future. Sessions, did you want to add anything on there?
No, actually, that's the first I've heard of Robinhood news. That's fantastic. I guess the market let them know they didn't like that.
Yeah, it's really, really good news. Hopefully PayPal and Webull and the others that don't allow withdrawals will start to enable withdrawals. I think you'll definitely see people moving away from these platforms if they don't allow it. So it's probably in their best interest to do so. As far as an exchange to use in the meantime, we've mentioned a couple already. Swan Bitcoin's definitely the favorite up here. Pretty much everybody up on stage uses Swan Bitcoin. So I would highly suggest, you use the one that the people that are in the scene use. But if you're not interested in using Swan Bitcoin, Cash App is a good app for low volume. And if you really, really don't want to use those two, then Coinbase Pro is the third best option.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for coming up, Martin. Brandon, you want to jump in there? Oh,
No. I think you guys covered it well.
Hey, Brandon, when Swan in Canada?
Oh man, I would say Canada would probably be our first international move if we do. But again, I think it's going to be. I don't think it'll be this calendar year. However, entity accounts and wires we do take. So if you have a business entity, Ben, we can help you with that.
Perhaps.
Perhaps.
That's good to know. Okay, I had Manish coming up next. Then I'm going to do Salvatore. Manish, you should be coming up right now, and do a fun fact, Manish, and your Bitcoin question.
Hey all, it's Manish here. Thanks so much for hosting this. Really appreciate it. Fun fact on me, I am building a collaborative, community-driven investing platform that enables like-minded investors, initially in the stock market and eventually in crypto, to basically share their insights with one another, along with sharing their portfolios, so that they can leverage transparency to make better investment decisions. I kind of have spent most of my career around financial markets, traditional financial markets, but over the past few years, I've been learning about crypto. I'm still very much a newbie to the space. And I guess for all you being well versed in the space, I was curious to get a sense of like, are there crypto communities out there that you're really fond of, where you feel like there's great conversations happening? And then, you know, related to that, where do you feel like there's an intersection between crypto markets and the way people have traditionally invested in the stock market? There's a camp of people that, you know, very much invest in the stock market based on price movements. But then there's another level that obviously analyze companies to a little bit of a deeper level. And I'm wondering if you're starting to see that level of fundamental type of analysis happening in crypto markets as well.
So just from kind of hearing your initial questions here, I would first say, as a new entrant, especially during a bull market, it is very, very easy to be bamboozled by a lot of the buzzwords that are out there. And I think everybody tends to go through this and tends to see a lot of huge promises and grandiose statements from a lot of these other projects out there that are going, but they tend to fall flat. And so I think from your perspective, what you might want to look at is a little bit of kind of the why and the how of Bitcoin, and then build a good litmus test as to how everything else stacks up. So like, you know, why was Bitcoin initially created as opposed to like crypto, quote unquote, in general? You know, like separation of money and state, censorship resistance, sound money. And how is it able to achieve that? Things like, well, number one, the 21 million cap, making it sound money, but all of the intricate things that allow it to reliably maintain that without tinkering. So things like actually being decentralized and having a robust network behind it. Things like not actually having a leader or a figurehead, or using proof of work to make it prohibitively expensive to reverse things, and allowing users to self-validate using their own nodes. So there's a lot that goes into Bitcoin that a lot of people miss the first time around. And so it's easy to get pulled into this, instead of the Bitcoin space, you tend to get pulled into the crypto space first before realizing what's important. There's a guy that I know, his name is Anders. He's funny enough, he's the #1 copied trader in America on eToro. And all he's doing is just holding Bitcoin.
Oh, wow.
So he's literally just stacking sats, and he has a general idea about the halving schedule, the issuance of Bitcoin, how it gets cut every 4 years, and kind of those market cycles. And he's mostly just holding everything, but he has a small speculative batch of Bitcoin that he's going to see if history repeats itself, or at least rhymes, and he can end up with more Bitcoin in the long run. But you know, coming from what you're talking about investing and trying to time markets and stuff, I would take a look historically at a cross section of the market and kind of try to notice the revolving door of alternatives and quote unquote next Bitcoins, and the fact that Bitcoin continues to dominate 12 years in, regardless of everything else supposedly being, you know, fixing Bitcoins.
I just heard about this Bitcoin thing. I'm here to fix it.
Manish, apologies for mispronouncing your name earlier. I did want to answer one other part of your question, which is where to go to seek information. And you're in the right place if you're interested in learning more about Bitcoin and this space. I heavily encourage you to follow Cafe Bitcoin, but I also encourage you to follow BTC Sessions, who was just answering your questions. He has a lot of information on his YouTube channel and is an absolute amazing resource, because he actually gets down into the nitty-gritty of using a lot of the things out there, a lot of the services, a lot of the hardware, and has some of the best educational videos in the industry on this stuff. So follow him, follow Cafe Bitcoin, and come back to these rooms in the future to learn more. it's going to be some of the best Matrix style download of information you've ever had.
Thanks, Dennis. I will say, Manish, I have a playlist. There's like 3 videos in it, and the name of the playlist is a little, I don't know, crass or abrasive. I don't know how to label it. Anyways, worth watching. It's it's a playlist called Avoiding Shitcoins 101. And it's going to walk you through the specific reasoning of everything I just talked about. And then from there, that'll give you a good kind of basis and litmus test to base your skepticism across everything else.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've only ventured into Bitcoin myself for exactly the reasons that you outlined. But it's interesting. The term shitcoin makes me think about companies going bankrupt. And I guess there's a bit of an analogy there.
Manish, thanks for coming up. Appreciate the questions.
Thank you.
Please feel free to come back in the future. All right, I'm going to move you down. And then we are going to move someone up here. The next person I called on was Salvatore. And then we have Nick after that. Salvatore, you're coming up. And Salvatore, if you could do one fun fact and then your Bitcoin question, please.
Okay, so fun fact about me is that people often say I look like Jesus, which for me is a huge compliment. And my question is, if I want to send somebody Bitcoin and they've never had a wallet before, what is the best way for me to do that?
It's an interesting question. It depends on, I think, the purpose of it. Like if you're sending them just a little bit to get them started, a hot wallet on a phone, that's pretty easy to use as Green Wallet, something like that. You can just, tell them to download it and ask them to send you the address, and you could do it that way. If you're looking for something more like a gift, like something more fun, I absolutely love a product called OpenDime, which is basically, it almost looks like a little USB drive. It says Bitcoin on it. You wouldn't want to use it for any meaningful amounts of Bitcoin, but it almost acts as a bearer bond. So if you're looking to kind of give someone a gift and get them into the space in a fun way, that's a great way to do it too. But I'm sure some of these guys have some other thoughts.
Where are you based?
Pennsylvania, US.
Damn. Okay. So the reason I ask is there's a company in Canada called Rise Wallet, or actually it was acquired by Bitcoin Well. But they basically have dollar-denominated Bitcoin gift cards that can be redeemed at the point where you give the person the gift card. So there's not the awkwardness of, hey, I got you $100 worth of Bitcoin, and then you put it on something and the price fluctuates and you have to explain why it's different now. But that is only within Canada. But what Brekkie was saying, I think, a hot wallet, something like Blue Wallet on your phone will do you fine. And if you're looking to avoid, because on-chain fees can be high from time to time, especially when it gets busy. So maybe even using a Lightning wallet, some like Blue Wallet allows you to use Lightning, but there's other wallets, Breeze Wallet, Phoenix Wallet, Wallet of Satoshi. All of those allow you to transact on the Lightning Network, which is using Bitcoin, but it allows for like basically instant and nearly free transactions. So for a first impression, that can be eye-opening to a brand newbie to the space.
I would also say both Swan and Cash App pay for their users on-chain fee when you withdraw. And so for Swan, for example, if you went to swanbitcoin.com/HRF, Human Rights Foundation, you can sign up, takes 10-15 minutes. You'll automatically get $10 in free Bitcoin, and you can withdraw it for free also. And so you could give your friend $10 without paying for anything if you do that.
You guys are saints.
Okay. So before, I've heard of this way that you can send basically an email to somebody with a gift of Bitcoin, and then whenever they're ready to redeem it, they can do something. Have you ever heard about that?
Yeah, that's Give Bitcoin. That's what Swan started as, but we realized that just simply selling Bitcoin is a better business, and so currently we do not offer that service. Maybe if we know more about the person you're giving it to, there could be a better way. But if I was you, I would just have them download a wallet and then send them some Bitcoin. I think that's the easiest way.
Yeah. So what I try to do is I try to just give people Bitcoin that I know that maybe they'll answer a question or just some fun way of doing that. And then once I ask them the question, if they have a Bitcoin wallet, that's kind of when the conversation like stops. So I think people just don't want to take the time to create that hot wallet, write down the keys, you know, protect the keys and all that process. People usually just give up at that point.
It's definitely tough to, you can't really, I get, you know, the old saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. It's very much this with Bitcoin. And many of us currently at this moment are experiencing years of telling people about Bitcoin. You know, you're telling them at a few $100, you're telling them at, you know, $1,000, a couple $1,000. And then all of a sudden you got Bitcoin going for 50 grand and the lineup's out the door. And so it, you know, it can be frustrating, but I've found the best practice now is to kind of go about your business, bring it up if it seems relevant. If people ask questions, absolutely dive down it. But they're going to start seeing it in the news quite frequently. And as long as they know that you're their Bitcoin guy, you're the guy that knows some stuff about this, they will come to you. If you build it, they will come. So they, you know, that's kind of, I think that's the best approach. And, you know, again, I've been kind of preaching it for years, and now I'm getting all the text messages and all of the emails and all that.
I totally agree. People don't accept gifts. They don't value it if you just give it to them. We've all been there in the extreme evangelism stage. However, it just doesn't work, and you risk hurting friendships. At the risk of shilling Swan twice in one question, if you go to swanbitcoin.com/enlist, you can sign up for our affiliate program. You don't even have to be a customer. And what that will give you is your own link. So you could have Swan/Salvador, and then you give that to your friends. And if they sign up, they also get $10 in free Bitcoin. So you can just send them that link whenever they're ready. And then you'll get 25% of Swan's fees, whatever we charge, for 3 years.
Okay, I don't have Swan yet, but actually I started the sign-up process tonight, so I'll look into that. Thank you.
Yeah, nice. And you don't actually have to be a customer in order to be an affiliate, although obviously we'd love you to be a customer.
Yeah, I don't mind trying a new exchange out.
I definitely agree with Ben and his point that it takes time for people to come around to listening to you about Bitcoin. It took 4 years and for me to get anybody asking me about it. So this is the first time, this year is the first time I've really gotten anybody showing interest. Also, you definitely do look like Jesus. I checked out your Instagram, so that was a true fun fact. Thanks for coming up, Salvatore. Brekkie, did you want to take back over everything? I know you hand the reins over for a second, or would you like me to just keep going?
I'm here. Let's do it. Why not?
All right. Hey, thank you guys.
Thank you, Salvatore.
Yeah, thank you. I was having Nick Melsha come up next. If you want to have him call him up.
Nick. I don't know Nick. Why not? What is going on, Nick Melsha? Welcome up. Please tell us one interesting fact about yourself. It doesn't have to be true. Just make it interesting. And then ask us a Bitcoin question.
All right. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for the platform and for the time here. That is genuinely appreciated. Interesting fact about myself is I've lived and worked in about 30 different countries and ultimately landed in the most beautiful place on earth, which is in the United States, more specifically frigid Wisconsin. So anyone from the Northern Hemisphere will know exactly what I'm talking about. So a little bit in jest there, if you will, given it's winter.
Can I ask, having worked in so many countries, I'm sure you can see the value in a currency that crosses borders.
Absolutely. Yeah, especially coming from interfacing with so many different communities and on so many different projects, whether it's a NATO alliance or something beyond the rails of that. It's something that can communicate as seamlessly as technology, and is different than that of the traditional fiat. I find certainly appealing. Absolutely great conduit for commerce. My question, more specifically, again, I appreciate the platform, is very high level, and I'm very new to this territory with respect to investing. And I think it's important to give you a little bit of context to, the dynamics of my situation, that being, a couple kids, 3 kids, beautiful wife, very happy, a handful of different investment vehicles, being IRAs and 401ks and in different things, right? But I've immersed myself in crypto over the course of the last 3 months, really trying to educate myself and make strategic decisions that, benefit myself and my family. And my question is, this being my first cycle, if you will, is, there's so many individuals touting that, the framework of a bull cycle and, predictions on where costs can go and things of that nature. And my question specifically is, how do you weigh holding Bitcoin long-term, understanding the prospect of value 5 to 10 years from now, versus, getting in now, taking profits before a bear market hits, and then subsequently potentially dropping 80%, let's say, and then losing all those profits. So that's kind of, my main question. And then additionally is, if you would say at that point when the market's transitioning from a hot wallet to cold storage for security purposes.
Okay, so I will say that for me, the trying to time it is just such a losing game, because you got to remember you're not trying to just make profit on the timing. You're not just trying to find the top and find the bottom or somewhere close. You're also trying to outrun the capital gains tax that happens when you convert your Bitcoin to dollars. And depending on your tax bracket and the amount that you're converting, that can be a difficult thing to outrun, especially with bad timing. And so I'm not super confident that I could pull that off. How confident are you that it's going to be the exact same? Sure, some people might try to do it. For me, the trying to time that for the potential long-term gain and the lack of stress of just being able to sit back, stack sats, and hold it for the long run, it just far outweighs the stress of trying to time that market. So I mean, could you feasibly do it? Maybe. Are you maybe going to mess up? I'd say that's somewhat likely. So I don't know. That's my hot take.
Yeah, most people end up with less Bitcoin when they try to execute this strategy. And you're not only trying to time the market, but you also have to beat the tax burden that comes with this. So assuming short-term capital gains in the US will be your marginal tax rate. So think you got to pay 35% on whatever your gains are, and then try to rebuy later. I think it's pretty risky. But if you were just to, let's say you have, let's say you have 1 Bitcoin and you want to sell 10% of that or 20% of that somewhere near the top, whatever you think the top is, I think that's a reasonable thing to take some chips off the table, do something nice with it, or just have some cash on the side. But I definitely wouldn't move your whole stack out and try to get back in again.
Yeah. The other thing is too, like, what's the trade-off? Like, for instance, last bull run, and I gotta admit, I was very lucky with timing just because it was around Christmas. But I did a couple nice things for my family and for my wife, and just things like helping with paying for the house and stuff like that to kind of set us so we had less stress in our lives. And despite the fact that Bitcoin is now, effectively 3 times as much as it was back then, 4 years ago, well, 3.5 years ago, the relieved stress burden at the time over the course of the years, because it wasn't all of my stack, because it was just a portion, it was really helpful. And so you kind of got to look at that time horizon. I think if you're thinking in like 4 to 5 year time stints, and like admitting to yourself, listen, this is probably going to be worth many times what it is right now in the future. But if you're just taking a small portion of what you've accumulated and doing something that's going to greatly improve your life over the next 4 or 5 years, then, that could be a fair trade-off.
Sure. Sage advice. I appreciate that.
All right, Nick, any follow-up questions, or what do you think?
No, that was a very complete, robust answer. And again, I really appreciate the time on the platform.
Oh, of course. We do this every Monday, every Wednesday. And one other thing to note, I mean, just to kind of add on to that question, like personally, like I'm never going to risk any of my stack. You know, I may reach a point where I'll take out a loan against it, you know, like through something like Unchained Capital. But that's just me. You know, like there will be ways, and there are currently ways to leverage your Bitcoin without selling. All right, I'm going to do a quick reset of the room because the room is holy moly, we got over 300 people tonight. So welcome. If you're new, this is a Cafe Bitcoin Room beginner Bitcoin Q&A. It is streaming to YouTube, to Swan Bitcoin's YouTube channel. So if you don't need to take notes, if you get your question answered, you can go back and listen. Cafe Bitcoin is a group here on Clubhouse, and we have lots and lots and lots of folks from the world of Bitcoin, educators, podcast hosts, all sorts of people who are here creating rooms, doing shows, and the goal is just to help people learn about Bitcoin. We have rooms. If you click on Cafe Bitcoin at the top left, you can see some of the schedule we have. We have rooms in Spanish, Portuguese. I think we have Bitcoin Africa coming soon. We have Bitcoin in French and German. So all sorts of resources, and we have a small little website to help with some of these things. It's cafebitcoin.club. It has the schedule of events. It has some great beginner Bitcoin resources, and I'd urge anyone who's new to check that out. And I'd also urge you to join Cafe Bitcoin. That way you will see all the rooms as they happen. You'll get notified, and you can tell everyone you're part of Cafe Bitcoin. All the cool kids are here. Anyway, Nick, thank you. I'm going to move you back down, and I am going to pick someone else of the hands raised. Who do we got? Who is the lucky person that gets to come up and ask a question? Manel, you're at the top, so I'm going to ask you. I'm lazy. Manel, come on up. Tell us one interesting fact about yourself. Doesn't have to be true. And then let us know your Bitcoin question.
Sounds great. So I speak French, so I don't know how interesting that is, but yeah, I'm fluent in French.
That is
so
very interesting.
Okay, so I just realized that I think I need a beginner Bitcoin class to that Bitcoin class because I have no idea what you guys are talking about. I've been living under a real estate rock. I tried stock like over a decade and a half ago, lost so much money, I gave up. So I kind of, just focused on real estate and stuff like that. But I just realized that Bitcoin is a thing. And if I don't get with it, I'm going to be like left behind. So I just really need someone or just kind of want to figure out how to get just get involved in all this Bitcoin thing. And I don't know what a wallet is. I don't know what blockchain. I don't know about anything. So if you guys can direct me in terms of like, because I have Cash App. So I realized that I can buy it in a Cash App. But I've heard that you can lose the key. Someone can steal your key and stuff like that. So I don't want to just go ahead and buy it and then not having just how to manage it.
Yeah, no worries. No, so I think Cash App is a great place to start. For someone who's new, who's worried about key management and wallets and the things that you're talking about. Personally, I urge. There's some Bitcoiners who are like, oh no, you need to take control immediately. And I'm like, no, you need to take control when you're ready. So if you do want to get some skin in the game, Cash App is a great place to get started. And then you can learn more. But I like to recommend, there's a book called Inventing Bitcoin. There's actually a link in my bio. You can grab it for free. There's a free audiobook. It's only like a 2 or 3 hour read or listen. And it'll kind of get you from 0 to 60 on, how Bitcoin works, why it's important. And I just think it's a fantastic place to get started. It kind of depends on what you like to do, because we're kind of in the golden age of Bitcoin content right now. There's so many amazing books and podcasts and movies and like documentaries and all sorts of things. So it really depends. And maybe BTC sessions, maybe you can give a little overview of what you like to recommend. I would also recommend that you check out his YouTube page, because he's got a great Bitcoin for Beginners playlist there as well.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. So Manel, am I saying that right, Manel?
Yep. Got it.
Okay, perfect. Cool. So I do have a beginner Bitcoin playlist on my YouTube. So if you go to YouTube and you search BTC sessions, and you go to my playlist, again, I think it's called Getting Started. And there's one video that will not apply, which is for a Canadian exchange, but you're using Cash App anyways. So you're set there. And basically, it's going to take you through a whole bunch of just different beginner things to start to understand Bitcoin. There's like a top 5 things to consider when getting into Bitcoin. There's a little bit about the why and the how of Bitcoin, like what did it solve and why was it even invented in the first place? And then there's basics like what's a wallet and how do I get one? How do I secure this? So you were talking about, oh, somebody can steal the key. I'm worried about people stealing my Bitcoin. I cover that, and there's special devices that are like digital vaults to hold your Bitcoin. So, you know, you're just getting started. It's very brand new. So my advice to you would be, honestly, just one foot in front of the other, one step at a time, and don't overwhelm yourself with too much at once. You've already got Cash App. So you've already got something that you're familiar with that you can get Bitcoin. And so that's kind of step one. You've got Bitcoin that you can purchase, and it's held with a trusted third party. So I would say your next step to focus on is probably getting a wallet. And so one of the videos that's in that playlist is on Blue Wallet, which is just an app you can download on your phone. And the difference between Blue Wallet and Cash App is with Cash App, your money is sitting with somebody else. With Blue Wallet, you can withdraw it to your own custody. And what that does is it means nobody can stop you from accessing your money ever. So if you saw the shit go down with Robinhood, where people were trading GameStop and they stopped them from being able to sell it and use their own money, that doesn't happen when you hold Bitcoin in your own wallet. So number one, learn about wallets and then go from there. So check out that playlist. That should get you started. But again, don't overwhelm yourself too much. Baby steps. You got an exchange, get a wallet next.
Okay, perfect. So once I get it from Cash App, then I can transfer it to the wallet. Is that how it works? Or
Yeah, exactly. So
okay.
you're going to have it there, and then I can't remember what the terminology they use in Cash App, but it'll either be like withdrawal or send. And Blue Wallet is going to have an option that says receive. And so you hit the receive button, and it's going to give you an address, which is like a string of digits, and you can literally just tap to copy them and then paste them in Cash App, and that just tells Cash App where to send the money.
One other thing, real quick, just when you're getting started with this, like, you don't have to send a lot at once. You know, if you're nervous, like sending Bitcoin for the first time, like doing a Bitcoin send is irreversible, right? Like, you know, with great power comes great responsibility. So, you know, send $20 at once. Send you don't have to send a huge amount. Just get used to how it works, and wait for it to confirm, and you'll see how you don't have to do a giant send at once, basically. And then one other thing I just wanted to mention, and I don't know if you're sort of interested in learning more about why some of us are so crazy about Bitcoin, but there's this whole kind of economic philosophical side of things as well. And I, in addition to the book I just mentioned, I highly recommend everyone read the Bitcoin Standard. It's a great primer on understanding what money is, and some of the problems that Bitcoin fixes. And if you actually go to that link I mentioned earlier, that I think is cafebitcoin.club, there's a couple of great book recommendations there. You can find everything.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Another question. I'm sorry, I had a last question. Is it too late to get in, or is price gonna go down sometime soon, or should I wait around a little bit, or it's not wise to?
I can start this one off. And just to add one quick point to your previous thing, if anyone's new to Bitcoin, you should educate yourself. That should be a huge priority. But don't let any of the scary stuff like wallets or private key management stop you from making your first Bitcoin purchase. Since you're already on Cash App, what I would do is look up something called dollar cost averaging, which just simply means you pick a fixed dollar amount and you buy that amount of Bitcoin every week. Let's say it's $10 every Saturday, $100 a month, whatever your number is, just pick a number and just keep going. And at the same time, educate yourself. With regards to, are you early or are you late? So everyone thinks they're late because they see the price go up and $50,000 sounds like a lot. But the reality is the asset itself, the total market cap, so what all the Bitcoins are worth today, is around $1 trillion. And that's about 10 times smaller than gold. And for example, Apple is worth more than Bitcoin today. And so when we look at it like this, and only about 1% of the world owns Bitcoin, and that's a very small percentage. And so most of the Bitcoiners here would say that we're still very, very early. And so I would say 100x the Bitcoin price today is what I'm thinking about in the next, let's say, decade. Now, I wouldn't guarantee that. I wouldn't, bet my life savings on that or anything, but I would say that there's a lot of room to grow if we're right. But if we're wrong, it could go down a lot. And so what you'd want to do is manage your risk. And that means, let's say 1% or 10% maybe of your net worth is a reasonable place to start with regards to how much you want to allocate to Bitcoin.
I just to tag onto that too. I did a video called "Is Bitcoin Too Expensive?" which is basically tracks exactly what you're asking about. Is it too late? And it kind of goes through, where we're at now, where we could be, what Bitcoin is trying to do, and the types of money that could flow into Bitcoin if it continues to do as promised, which it has done over the past 12 years. So yeah, is Bitcoin too expensive? You can just find it on my YouTube channel.
One other thing, if y'all don't mind, I'm just going to add this real quick, that, at least to me, I use Bitcoin as a savings account. Not everyone will agree with me on this, or some people, if you're new to Bitcoin, you're like, oh, this guy's crazy, blah, blah, blah. But when you go down the Bitcoin rabbit hole and you kind of understand those problems that Bitcoin fixes that I was mentioning earlier, to me, Bitcoin is better money. Like, the dollar can be devalued. It's currently being devalued. It's devalued every minute, right? There aren't really any checks and balances on how many dollars can be printed. There are only 21 million Bitcoin. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin. And so to me, it's not just about like, oh, are we early? Should I buy now? I convert a percentage of every paycheck I get to Bitcoin. Like, to me, it is part of my retirement planning, my savings, my everything that I'm going to use for my future. And maybe I put a disproportionate amount of my savings into Bitcoin, but I think it's a healthy way to think about it. Some people you can think of it like a 401k if you want, and it doesn't have to be half your paycheck, but it can be a small percentage, and you can just do it ongoing over time.
Sounds good. I'm sorry, one tiny question: is there a time of day that I should buy it that's cheaper, just like stocks, or it's just
6:15? Is that the right time, guys?
No. There's no good time. The best time is every time. But if you want to be consistent and you want to take emotion out of it, pick a time of day that's significant to you, and you just say, okay, or once a week. But 6:15 is a great time, I will say.
There's that TikToker who does the astrology. Maybe she knows the right time. I don't know.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm sorry, a one tiny question. Do you guys foresee like Bitcoin going down in terms of like there's a competitor, like something that's created that's like Bitcoin that would totally crash?
Definitely not. Honestly, that's all of the altcoins are trying to do that, and they continue to fail every day, every week, every month, every year for the past 12 years. There are thousands upon thousands of other coins, and Bitcoin, even with an ever-growing pool of new currencies, Bitcoin is still like between 60 and 70% of the entire market, which is astounding. So yeah, do I see anything, they call it the flippening? Do I see that ever happening? Many have claimed it. They've all ended up with less Bitcoin.
Would you guys invest in a different cryptocurrency?
No.
Or just
No.
Bitcoin?
Bitcoin has a number of properties that can't be replicated. It had an initial release that, in my opinion, like there's no way that it could be repeated. It grew from nothing, as a grassroots movement, and it's evolved over time. And a lot of these altcoins, they might say, oh, it's a faster version of Bitcoin, or it's Bitcoin with all these fancy features, blah, 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 blah. The reality is, in order to do these things, they've made trade-offs. Bitcoin is, some people will say that, oh, Bitcoin is slow. Well, that's a feature of Bitcoin. There's a reason why Bitcoin is the way it is. Or they'll say, oh, nothing has changed in Bitcoin in, 10 years. What they're referring to is the fact that development on Bitcoin is slow. It takes a long time. And the reason why is that Bitcoin, that the caretakers of Bitcoin, like this decentralized group of people who are working on Bitcoin, and don't get me wrong, don't make the mistake of thinking that Bitcoin is a monolith and doesn't change. Bitcoin is constantly changing, and right now, there are debates going on about something called Taproot, which we won't get into right now. But the point is, the people who are the stewards of Bitcoin, who are all working together to ensure this bright orange future, they understand how important Bitcoin is. A lot of the altcoins have a strategy, not a strategy, but an ethos of let's move fast and break things, let's innovate, let's blah blah blah. And that's great for certain industries. But Bitcoin is revolutionizing the monetary base layer of the world, of society. Money underpins everything. So you don't want to screw it up with the way that governments have screwed up their money. Man, where was I going with this? Can Bitcoin be copied? Can Bitcoin be killed? That's where it was. I think the answer is no, because there's no way to catch up to what Bitcoin has done. There's no way to replicate the security that Bitcoin has. Yeah, long answer.
I think the point is also that Brekkie was making is that the monetary policy behind Bitcoin is the most important aspect of it. It's not the transaction speed. It's not the ability to do smart contracts. And the monetary policy, in my opinion, is perfect. And so if someone else wanted to come along and try to do a better monetary policy, they can try. But for the most part, in my mind, it's already been perfected. And now we can build the tech on top of that perfect monetary policy.
That's where I was going. Thank you. Yeah, all the bells and whistles, the shiny things that altcoins may tout, they aren't necessarily bad ideas. It's just you want to build on a solid foundation. So anyway,
as I recommended to one of the previous questions, I do have a playlist called "Avoiding Shitcoins 101," and while the name is kind of funny, it is well worth a watch just to kind of get your bearing as to what sets Bitcoin apart.
All right,
perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We're gonna move you back down, and we're gonna choose somebody else. Please come back next time. Who's next? Who's next? We got 21 people with their hands. Oh, now we only have 20. Oh, there we go. 21. Perfect. I don't know.
And I'd say from a mod standpoint, let's try to speed it up a bit to try to get through so many of these questions.
Yeah, I know. It's so hard.
Fire. Let's go fire. What do they call that? I'm losing it. Rapid fire. There we go.
Fire questions. All right. Nong Nooch. I don't know how to say your name and I want to learn, so up you get. Tell us very quickly one interesting thing about yourself and your Bitcoin question. If you're still here. Oh, so much for rapid fire. You blew it. You blew it. All right, Jose, come on up.
What's up, guys? Thanks for bringing me up.
Welcome. All right.
So rapid fire question. You mentioned security about Bitcoin earlier. Just a quick question around a certain aspect of that. What are your guys' opinions of storage in terms of like hard wallets and all that stuff?
I love the cold card wallet. I also use the Kobo Vault, which is it's called air gapped, so you never plug it into anything internet connected. You can do the same with cold card. But for a brand newcomer, then Trezor and Ledger tend to be pretty user friendly, and for most use cases, you'll get by pretty well with those options.
I agree with that. I concur.
I think the most important thing around security is understanding that there's kind of this there's always trade-offs to be made, right? There are certain setups that are incredibly complicated and might be very, very hyper secure, but are maybe unnecessary for the amount of Bitcoin that you're trying to protect. So it all depends on what is right for you. I think hardware wallets are a great solution for most people who are new. Multisig is a great next step up. You know, if you go to a company like Casa Hodl or Unchained Capital, you can DM any of us if you want to grab links to these things later. But really, it's about what you're comfortable with and what you can do reliably. You know, if you're going to use a hardware wallet, you should practice using the hardware wallet, practice wiping the hardware wallet and restoring it. You know, there is responsibility here, and not that it's not worth it. It is. But just do what's best for you. Do the research. We have a great article. It's at swanbitcoin.com/wallets that kind of breaks down different wallet types and when and where and how to use different types of wallets, or at least our recommendations. BTC Sessions has amazing walkthroughs on, I think, pretty much every hardware wallet that's ever been made. So I would just say do your own research and see what makes sense.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Cheers. Thanks, Jose. All right, Brandon, bring someone up. Putting you on the spot.
While someone's coming up, Jose, that link to the different types of wallets is in my bio. If you go to a link there, you can quickly find that article that he was talking about.
Was it the one with the Swan?
It's on my... Yes.
Swan. Okay. Awesome. Yep. I'll definitely take a look.
It's in my Instagram or Twitter bio.
Awesome. Thank you.
What's up, Jerry?
Hello, guys. Can you hear me?
Hey.
Okay.
Loud and clear.
Oh, good. So I guess the first thing I'd like to see if you guys would like to like to hear this. I'm a songwriter, and I wrote I just got the chorus of a Bitcoin tune.
Jerry, I gotta stop you there. I love me some good Bitcoin music, but we are trying to do a Q&A here with beginner questions.
Okay,
We're
so
happy to answer one if you got it.
Okay, I do have one. So I want to move Bitcoin from a paper wallet to ultimately a Trezor or a ledger. And I saw some things, videos that seemed to make it really, really complicated. And anyway, I noticed that the bread wallet that I have has a sweep. It will sweep, and I just recently learned the difference between sweeping and the other terminology, which was I forget the other one. But so basically, my question is, I'm wondering if I'm going to have any difficulties or lose any money sweeping with my bread wallet, a paper wallet, and then using that bread wallet to transfer it into a cold storage.
I think you'll be okay. I tend to like Blue Wallet for the same thing, but you've effectively found the same feature that allows you to do so. Regardless, depending on how old that paper wallet is, I imagine if the address starts with a 1, that kind of means that you're paying the highest fees that you could just because of the nature of that wallet. If it starts with a 3, then you might be a little bit better off. Yeah, the reason I like Blue Wallet is you can sweep and actually pull funds into it and have better control of what you're doing and setting fees and so on and so forth. Yeah, so you're pulling it from a paper wallet onto a mobile wallet and then into what hardware?
Either a Trezor or a ledger.
Okay, so it doesn't matter either way. Okay. Do you know if your address starts with a 1 or a 3 or a B?
I just checked it while you were talking. It is a 1.
Okay, yeah. So that's called a legacy address. It's just an old version of an old format of Bitcoin addresses. If you're worried about fees and if it's a low amount of Bitcoin, then you can go to a website called mempool.space, MEMPOOL.space, and that kind of tracks the fees of what it costs based on how busy the Bitcoin network is. And if you're not on a tight timeline, you can just kind of watch that until you see the fees go down, and then send a transaction. Sweep that wallet, and then it will take away less of your funds in doing so. So that might help you out a bit.
Okay, so that's MEM. What was the rest of it?
MEMPOOL dot space. And it'll say low, medium, high, I think is how they categorize it. Let me just really quick check. Yeah, low, medium, and high priority. And it'll tell you, it's the way that Bitcoin fees are measured, it's sats per byte, but it also gives you kind of a general dollar value of what it costs to send a transaction. It's not terrible right now, so might be a good time. But yeah, you can watch that website and kind of decide for yourself.
Ben, you are the man. You've helped me out in other ways that you don't know about, but yeah, that's really, really great to know. And that's, I guess that's it. I do have something unique about me. You want to hear it?
We do.
Love
Jerry,
it.
do me a favor also. When you're done with the song, shoot me a DM. I would like to hear it later.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. The one thing I think is unique about me is that I, when I first came across Bitcoin, I pretty much instantly knew this was big. And the reason for that was because I was looking into alternate currencies. I was learning about, you know, the nature of money, and it was like this perfect timing. And there was some system in England, I think it was called LETS, where they were trying to come up with a digital currency, and it wasn't successful. And there was a thing in my area called Berkshire Bucks. It was like an alternate currency that banks actually accepted. And so anyway, when I saw Bitcoin, after I found out all the criticisms were bullshit, I was just so excited. It was like 2012 or something like that. So what I'm saying is I didn't dismiss it out of hand like I don't think a lot of people do.
You saw the writing on the wall, friend.
Man, it was just, I'm still excited thinking about it.
One of those things where, you know, granted, you know, most of us, we work in the space, but you know, you wake up every day and there's something new to learn. There's something exciting going on. The Bitcoin rabbit hole never ends, and it's not a dark, damp, you know, gross hole in the ground filled with worms. It's a you know, you go down the rabbit hole and it's a warm, cozy place with lots of books and great podcasts and Bitcoin friends. So keep going down that rabbit hole.
It's a psychedelic place. You know, the one thing I would like to say to that newbie that was on earlier, I forget her name. The other thing maybe to just be conscious of is how often media is putting stuff out there that is designed to scare you into selling your Bitcoin, and to just be mindful that a lot of the media is still, you know, is influenced by people who don't want you to have Bitcoin. So
yeah, I don't know. I don't put necessarily such a, you know, an evil specter behind it. But to me, it's like they haven't done their research. You know, they're out there talking about Bitcoin and they don't know about Bitcoin. So, you know, do your own research and, you know, and learn. So, all right, Jerry.
I'll go with that.
Jerry, thank you. We're going to send you back down. We got a bunch of hands raised.
All right, cool.
Let's see who we got. Who has had their hand up for a while now?
And while Brekkie's looking for that, one thing I would comment on the media is I don't necessarily think that they're trying to get you to sell. I think that they're just selling clicks. And what sells clicks is either when the price is pumping, they sell you some euphoria. And anytime there's a minor crash, like 10%, they tell you that Bitcoin's dead. And that's because those work to get clicks.
Exactly. Miriam, I invited you up. If you're here, come on up and quickly tell us one interesting thing about yourself and then let us know your Bitcoin question. Although I don't know if you're paying attention because you're not coming up.
I've got an idea as well. If anyone wants to get their question in, you can DM me on Twitter, and in between people's questions, I can try to weave in your question.
Oh, I like that.
Just to try to get access to more people.
Ah, Miriam, there you are. Welcome.
Hi guys, in Germany it's 4:00 a.m. and I do want to know what's happening. Therefore, I don't want to sleep now. I'm a real beginner, and my English is not so good. You will apologize me.
Willkommen, guten Morgen.
Guten Morgen. So I just want to know, I have a small amount of money, and I want to buy some Bitcoins. I just want to know, is it the right time, or shall I wait for a couple of days? Because it's really high price now. I couldn't move money as Bitcoin was really about 37 or 36 at the weekend, and now I have the money in the wallet, but in the depot, but it's too high. What do you recommend me?
That's always a hard question. It's the question that everybody asks, and unfortunately, no one knows the exact answer. Otherwise, we'd all have a lot more Bitcoin than we do. What I tell people is to, think about why you're buying Bitcoin. Come to an understanding of, are you buying this as a long-term hold? You believe in it, and if you do, say to yourself that, look, I actually think that this is going to go way higher. I think it's completely underpriced right now. This is what I believe. So I'm okay buying at a price, even if it goes down. I accept that when I buy Bitcoin, it might go down. Personally, I buy a little bit of Bitcoin every day. I'm lucky enough to have a service here in the U.S. that makes that possible. So I buy a little every day, and I don't think about it. If you're looking to establish an initial position, that's kind of a different matter. And there's always like, oh no, should I buy now? Should I wait? It's more difficult. But I think just understanding that it's volatile and being okay with that is the easiest, is the best thing. You just have to prepare your mind for it. You could put in half of what you were preparing to put in now and wait and see, but it could keep going up. So I don't know that there's a great answer to this. I don't know if anyone else wants to chime in.
I wouldn't mind just
that could help me. For example, if U.S. government is going to do something to regulate it, and it should have an influence on the price, or if some important companies are going to buy Bitcoin, and it's just another,
there's a lot to consider.
Or not.
So Miriam, I will say, nobody knows what the news is going to be tomorrow. That said, you can look historically in terms of regulatory worries. We've seen China in 2017, quote unquote, banned Bitcoin like 4 times, and it really only held any sort of weight the first time they did it. And then when Bitcoin kept functioning as expected, it was abundantly obvious that a ban does nothing. In fact, places where it's been banned, like India, it actually sells at a premium because it's more difficult to get Bitcoin there, but people still really want it. But that being said, nobody knows where the price is going to go in the near to mid term. So a perfect example is the first time I ever bought Bitcoin. The first time I ever bought Bitcoin, in the following year, I watched it drop 80%. So
Wow.
for every $100 that I had in it, I lost 80. And the reason that wasn't a problem for me is because I spent enough time reading and understanding what Bitcoin was to feel confident enough in what I was holding. So I wasn't holding it simply because I saw number go up. I was holding it because I saw what the technology was and what it was trying to solve, and I had at least enough of an understanding so that I could look at news stories and say, hey, that's not exactly correct. That's not what's happening here. And if they've got it wrong, and if I understand it just a little bit better than is being presented, as long as the reason I see that Bitcoin is valuable is not broken, then I'm just going to continue to hold it and maybe accumulate some more. So I would say try to understand it as best you can, and then let your understanding of the asset be reflective of how much of Bitcoin you are actually holding.
Hey,
Yeah, and
thank you so much.
one piggyback there is think long term with Bitcoin. I don't think anyone should be trying to buy it today or tomorrow based on any sort of news that we might hear in the short term. This is a long-term asset with a tremendous amount of volatility. And so if you're going to buy Bitcoin, which most everyone here would agree, just buy a little bit and plan in your head right now to hold it for at least 5 years, if not longer. And if you think on that time scale, you're going to be better off like emotionally dealing with this. And also it's a better financial move, because if Bitcoin is right, it's going to go way up in price. If we're wrong, it will go way down. But if we're right, yeah, you're playing that game essentially. And so in 5 years, it doesn't matter if you bought it 30K or 50K, because it's either going to be way up or it's going to be a bust. And so just have a small percentage and learn and learn and learn.
Okay. Do I have a minute to ask another question?
I think we want to keep it moving a little bit, but Miriam, I do want to point out we have Cafe Bitcoin has some rooms in German, and there'll probably be one starting in a few hours or even sooner.
Okay.
So definitely take a look at that. Let me see if it's on our schedule real quick, so I can let you know. Bitcoin auf Deutsch, Fridays, 4 p.m. CET. But if you join Cafe Bitcoin and take a look, there are usually rooms popping up in German quite often. So I would definitely take advantage of those.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Miriam. Everybody else, I actually have to run, but I'm going to leave you all in great hands. Brandon, Dennis, BTC Sessions, if you could go as long as you want, but please, let me know when close the room out when you're done, and I will see you all next week. So thanks for having me.
See you, Brekkie. Good to see you. You guys want to do?
Brett.
Hey, Michael. I'm glad you came up here, Michael. Michael had been trying to come up for a long time. Maybe we'll do. What do you think, BTC, Ben and Brandon? Like three more people.
Yeah, I'm game for whatever.
Okay, let's do 3 more people, Brandon. Yeah.
Cool.
Hey everybody, that is the end of tonight's stream. Thank you so much for joining. If you are tuning in on YouTube, we had a lot of great questions. And we do this all the time. Well, not all the time. We do this on Monday evenings, and we do it on Thursday afternoons now as part of Cafe Bitcoin. If you're on Clubhouse, make sure to join Cafe Bitcoin, get all the updates for when we're doing these rooms. And as I was saying before, we have tons and tons of rooms opening, rooms in different languages, rooms in Spanish, in German, in French. We have Bitcoin Africa coming soon. And we have a room each day with a new topic, usually depending on what the news of the day is. And the news has been very bullish and exciting. So we are very happy to have you as part of Cafe Bitcoin to join us on this journey as we learn about Bitcoin and see where it's going next. So tune in, and we will see you all next time.